there's been a growing subculture of sobriety in the 716 recently, which has come a long way since Andy Crum began his dry journey 4 years ago. Also known as Mr. Mocktail, Andy sets out to create inclusive spaces and events for everyone through his business, Sober16. Here's more on Andy's story.
4.5 years ago, I decided to quit alcohol.
There has been a boom of people choosing to quit drinking, some for health, others for lifestyle. And for Andy Crum, his reasoning was,
For me, alcohol was kind of a crutch. If I was going out, I would always look for a bar, or if I was going to an event, I would always look for, is there going to be alcohol there? So I decided to quit before it got to a point where it was getting more serious.
he made his decision in January of 2020, and with the pandemic, it gave everyone a time to reset and be introspective.
I really had to do a lot of self-reflection on who I am and who I am without alcohol.
But like many others, Andy wasn't sure where to turn for guidance with his decision.
When I made the decision to quit drinking, I didn't really know of any outlets other than AA to go to, and I feel like that's not for me.
So he turned to something we all use, social media. And with that came the birth of Mr. Mocktail.
So I decided to change my personal Instagram to Mr. Mocktail. That's where I documented my sobriety. I posted 1 month sober, 3 months sober, 6 months. And so I quickly realized that there's a huge online community of people that also are going through the same things.
Andy says he was able to build a connection locally, nationally, and even around the world.
I quickly realized that through this online community, there was a lot of people going through the same thing as I was. There is a need for this type of connection to people going through the same thing.
From non-alcoholic wines to beers and liquor alternatives, Andy was documenting his newfound lifestyle.
It was more of showing people what I was going through, and I still wanted to do the same things that I was doing when I was drinking, but just without the consequences of the alcohol.
When things started to open up after the pandemic is when Andy decided to get the small community he created together for the first time.
We actually had a 5-person happy hour at Breezy Burrito Bar. That was our first unofficial meetup, and it was really, really nice to connect with people in person that I've talked to for 2 years online, going through the same things as I was.
But beyond a newfound sober society, Andy connected with the local queer community too, which was something he says had been missing.
So I didn't really have a lot of queer friends growing up. Honestly, it was post-COVID where, through a mutual friend, I met Willa DeWisp, one of my resident hosts of Sober16. We connected on the fact that she has never drank an ounce in her life, and was still going out and doing, nightlife activities as a drag queen. As soon as I met her, I was like, I want to do a sober drag show. And this was before Sober16 was official.
And in February of 2022, Andy put on his first sober drag show.
It was so great. We had no alcohol being served. We had over 100 people come to the event, and we had 3 non-drinking drag queens, and it was just that's what really warmed my heart. When I saw all these people there that were there because they just loved drag, and they also just wanted to have a space where there was no pressure to drink.
A month later, Sober16 was created as an official LLC. Andy wants people to know sobriety does not have to be taboo.
When you hear sober, a lot of people go, oh, I don't know about, that's a bit heavy word. And it's really not when you think about it. I feel like more and more people are just more health conscious now. More and more people are aware of their mental health and how alcohol affects that.
But for Andy, Sober16 is not just about supporting social sobriety, but also about creating the space for the queer community of Western New York.
The connotation is nightlife. The queer community really doesn't have a lot of spaces that aren't bars, and not even just in Buffalo, but just in general. There's not really events that are not centered around alcohol.
But when so much of social life and events are centered around alcohol, can a sober event be appealing and mainstream?
The way that I try to present these events as fun events, that are not late night events, is coming up with a theme, for the event. So I love pop divas, so like that's my thing. So I will curate an event based on a pop diva, let's say like Beyonce night. What I hope is that they bring connection with people and different people and different experiences together for a common purpose. You know, we bring people together whether you drink or not, and everyone feels safe, everyone has something in their hand, they feel included. I'm creating a safe space where you don't have to talk about it. It's already established in the room that there's people who don't drink, there's people who are curious about, you know, not drinking, and there's people who do drink. So like, you don't have to come and like talk about the fact that you don't drink. We're not having the conversation, but there is a message being sent across that you can come to these events, be your authentic self, have an option, it's a safe space, everyone's welcome, and it's just fun.
And for anyone sober curious, Andy has some advice.
So I always say, you know, if you're kind of on the fence about it, take a little bit of what you hear from different people and kind of make it into your own story and what works for you. It's not one size fits all.
Well, you can follow Andy's sobriety journey and keep up to date on all of Sober16's events by following them on social media or visiting their website at sober16.com.